everyone, welcome to A Loop Through a Loop. I'm Tara. Thank you for coming to hang out with me. Today we're going to talk about our making for the month of November. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into FOs. I'm checking in after the first week of November. I have a couple of projects that I was able to finish up. One I don't have this show you because I already sent it off in the mail, but I made a second pair of baby socks and then sent those 2 pairs of baby socks off to my nephews out in California for them. And then after that, it looked like cold weather had struck Kentucky, and I had a lot of hats that I've made, but I wear my hair up like this most days. So like this is me in my natural habitat. No makeup. My hair probably should be washed in a day or two. And I realized that if I have my little, it's not even a bun, but my knot back here, that a headband actually works a lot better. So I used my Rowan Alpaca Classic. That's right up here. I took one of those skeins and I knit up, it's called Headband with a Twist, and it is by Morella Moments. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. Last year at this time, I made a couple, and as I was making it, I just had the thought of it's pretty ingenious to just call it Headband with a Twist, because if she had called it Brioche Headband, I probably would have never made it. But it is using brioche. This is one color brioche, obviously. Super easy, like I said, free. I'm already thinking I'm probably going to need more because I will probably wear this one out. I wear it pretty much every day. The fiber is alpaca and cotton, which is soft enough to be over my ears, so it doesn't really bother me. And something else that I have learned is if I am truly cold and I put on, like if I put on a wool sweater and my arms are bare, if I'm really truly cold, it does not itch. But if I'm not cold enough, then it will start to itch. I just have to pay attention to what my body is telling me, that even though I desperately want to wear a sweater, that if I'm feeling slightly uncomfortable or a little bit of itchy, I can wear it for a little bit and see if it goes away. But if it doesn't, then I probably need to change to a lighter layer. I know that's true for me. I don't know if that's true for anyone else, but I thought I would share that. The other finished object I have, and this was a big one, is I finished Shawlography. And so let me back up. I mean, it's long. So I did do the striped border. I think it was last year when he did Slipstravaganza. He talked about he always has his rhyming sayings. He'd say, if you make it by hand, make it grand. And I thought, well, I've already done this much. I might as well just go ahead and do the extra. It starts off here and it keeps going. So most of the drama and action is going on in the middle. And then kind of hard to show it just one person. At the end, I was supposed to use this peony color even at the end here, but I just didn't want to end with peony. I liked this magenta color better, so I just changed it. That's it. It's done. It's blocked. I used Holst Garn Super Soft. It did soften up a little bit after it was washed, so there was still quite a bit of spinning oil on the yarn when I washed it. So when I put it in the water got really murky. So what I ended up doing is I soaked it in there and kind of just lightly, how can I tell you how hard or soft that I'm like squeezing something? Squeeze it like a water balloon, but you don't want it to pop. You know what I mean? Like you can squeeze a water balloon gently, but you don't want to squeeze it so hard that it would pop. That's kind of the pressure that I used. And then once the water got really murky, I dumped that water out and then I put fresh water in, and I just rinsed it 2 or 3 times until the water became more clear. And then after a while, I was like, this is good. I let it soak for 10 minutes because it had already spent about 5 minutes from the rinsing process. So I didn't want it to stay in the water too long. So I just did about 10 minutes. And then this dried super fast. I'm used to having to have my knits lay out flat on a towel in our room for a couple days before they're dry. And really after one day, this was dry. But for my usual rule of thumb, I went ahead and let it sit out for 2 days. I followed everything to the pattern except for, except for here at the end. I did about between 1/2 and 2/3, whatever's in between that. I did that much of the border the weekend the clue was released, and then this past weekend I went ahead and finished it up. I kind of needed a breather, needed a break. I didn't necessarily feel like there was pressure to get it done, quote unquote, on time, whatever that means. But I did lose a little motivation to work on like finishing it up because there was nothing else to look forward to. I already had the last clue, if that makes any sense. So this was a case of I just needed to sit down and get it finished, just kind of make myself do it. I mean, I'm gonna knit anyway. I might just knit and get it done. The one thing that I know that I did kind of goof up on, because I took 1 week, I knit on the border one weekend, took the week off from this project, and then picked it up the next week. And somewhere along here, these stripes are shorter than these stripes. But when you're wearing it, you won't pay attention. And I know what I did wrong. I thought I remembered everything that I was supposed to do for that section because it is very easy to memorize, except that I was knitting 2 together where I shouldn't have been knitting 2 together. And after I got done with the first stripe that I was working on again, I went back and checked in the pattern, and then I just stopped because there's not a noticeable difference enough that it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think. I don't really know that there's anything else to tell you. Everyone has already talked at length about it. I guess my next question is, how would I wear this thing? So I've just been doing what Andrea Mallory has been teaching us with wearing shawls, and I offset it to the side, put one, this is gonna screw with the mic, I'm so sorry, it's gonna make a bad sound. And then I would put this over. Let me do that real quick so you don't have to listen to the mic be weird. And then, I mean, honestly, I think I would be comfortable just leaving it like this with the tail out. I guess if I wanted to, I could tuck the tail in. With shawls, since I'm kind of just starting to really enjoy them and appreciate them, I'm learning that the less I fuss with it, the better it is. If there's too much fiddling around with it, I end up just fiddling with it more, as opposed to if I just put it on, swing it around, let it drape. From there, I can think, is there anything that could fall off that maybe I need to figure out how to secure it down? Then I will. But I'm glad that I participated in it. I do love the finished product. If I had seen this pattern just released on its own, not associated with the mystery cowl, would I have made it? Probably not. Not because I don't like it. I don't know. That's something that I was still thinking about. That I really, for me, knitting this was about learning new things and taking on a challenge that was kind of new and not something that I would really normally do. It's not me. For me, this was really about the experience, and the fact that I do really love the end product is kind of a bonus. Now I have to decide, do I want to wear this out, or do I just want to place it in the chair over our entryway? For right now, I think I might just put it in the entryway so then I can just look at it and enjoy it. Because I have a couple other shawls that I just grab and throw on and head out. And this feels like I want to save it for a special occasion, or I don't know. I mean, I could wear this to dance class and be all fancy. If you have any questions about how I picked my colors, in 2 episodes back, I show you the picture that I used from Pinterest to choose my colors. I think this super soft, Holskarn Super Soft is probably right up there with, for right now, at this moment in time, one of my favorite yarns. And it feels like wool. It's not It's not merino soft. It feels like wool. It just, I don't know if I mentioned this in the past couple episodes. Maybe I did. It just feels, it feels like home. It feels like I'm a kid and I'm at my grandparents' farm again. It's pretty, but it's still rustic. I don't know, I really like it. I like the itch. That sounded weird. That's all I have for the first week of November. Okay, before I move into my final FO for the month, I do want to mention a couple of things that I forgot in the segment that I shot at the beginning of the month. My headband, as I mentioned, is made from alpaca and cotton, which is known to lose its shape. And so this, being a headband, is not really the best use of this fiber as far as what I've come to learn and understand. And I totally knew that and understood that going into it, but I wanted to do it anyway. So what I did, because this did stretch out, is I put it in my washing machine on a hand wash wool setting with cool water and just kind of let it do its job. It did what I thought it would do. It kind of shrunk things back together, and then I laid it flat to dry, and it worked out just fine, just kind of how I knew it was. Now, if I had knit a sweater with this yarn, I would want to think about making sure that that is a garment that doesn't rely on structure for the whole style or aesthetic, because this would not be a good yarn for that. This would be really good for something kind of drapey, easygoing, something like that. So I wanted to mention that. And then I also did not mention how much yarn I had left over from Shawlography. So I have my yarn over here. So I had all this yarn left over with three of my colors. Three of my colors, I never went into my second skein. Now, this yellow, this bottom skein of the yellow, I have used it for the project I'm going to share with you next. But these three colors, I never touched. The second skein, and then magenta and peony, I believe. I did go into my second skeins of this, but not very much. Like, I barely went into my second skein of this lighter, the pink magenta or pink peony color. So I wanted to mention that because I had forgotten to mention it. And I know a lot, I shouldn't say a lot. I've heard mention several times that people talk about how much yarn was left over after Shawlography. So if you're somebody that did it in Holstgarn, or maybe would like to make it one day with Holstgarn, I kind of just wanted to give you an idea of what could be left over. My tendency as a knitter with my tension is probably a little more tight, kind of more average to tight. So bear that in mind too. If you have a really loose gauge, you'll use up more yarn, or if you use a larger needle, all of those things come into play. So, which brings me to my yellow here. This is Old Gold Holstgarn. And for my project that I was able to finish up for this month, I paired it with Oxford. These are both Holstgarn Super Soft. I kind of went on a little bit of I wouldn't call it a binge, but kind of like, almost like collecting or starting to curate somewhat of a collection. That I really like using this yarn for color work because it's sticky, that your stitches stay where they are, and I don't know, I'm just really enjoying it. So speaking of color work, my husband had a birthday this month and I made him some mittens. These are Guns N' Roses, obviously. That's the name of the pattern, and it is by, I believe her name is Lotta London. She's in Sweden, and she is known for her mittens. So here's Axel. She's known for her mittens and blanket patterns that are color work. And in fact, she has a new design in the Knitting Disney book that I think just came out. She has some Alice in Wonderland mittens. My husband grew up loving Guns N' Roses. He wanted to be Slash when he grew up. That didn't happen. But when I was looking through mittens and stuff like that, what first drew my mind were Lotta's Britney Spears. She has Britney mittens, which that kind of drew my attention. Then I thought, well, what else does she have? And then when I found these, I was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. One day I want to make those for my husband. I had showed him on my computer and he was like, oh, those are really cool. And I was like, okay, he likes it. They fit. I was worried about the fit because I'd never made them before. But since I had never made it before, I trusted the designer and trusted the pattern and just knit it how I was told to. Now, with this being a Scandinavian pattern, she doesn't go in to tell you how long to knit the ribbing, or when you have to do a few rows of increases before you go to the color work. She doesn't tell you to knit so many, increase, knit so many, increase. She just says you need this many increases this many times and then start your color work. At first, I was like I wasn't caught off guard by it, but kind of felt insecure that I didn't have the pattern holding my hand, because up to this point, all the patterns that I've knit have been very detailed. There is no question about where you do something. There are tutorials, there are all of these things to scaffold you to try to make sure you don't mess up the pattern, so then you're happy and will buy more of that designer's patterns. But this time this was not the case. But the whole thing is charted except for the ribbing, but all of the color work is charted. I'll be honest, in the beginning, I was like, oh, this is gonna be work. I am not hardcore in love with doing color work, but I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. So if I find something that I like well enough, then I'll do it. I started with the slash mitten first, which worked out really great because I was able to get this mitten done before his birthday. It took a while for me to kind of start getting into it and be like, okay, I'm gonna keep going, like to feel any kind of excitement about it. Once I could see the design popping up, and like on the other side when I could start seeing the letters come, I overestimated my knitting speed and underestimated how long it would take to make these. I told myself I didn't have to start these until November, since his birthday is not till closer to the second half of the month. Well, then when November got here, he ended up taking 1 week off of work. So then that cut my 2.5, 3 weeks down to like a week. I knit these like it was my job. Like as soon as he was gone and I had the kids all squared away and taken care of, I was like, okay, I gotta sit down and knit. And on the weekends, like he ended up having to go in for work on a weekend, and I was like, that's really great. Oh, okay, but that's really great. Like, oh, I don't want you to, but I kind of need you to so I can work on this. And then I was halfway through the axle mitten when it was time for his birthday. So I was like, I'm sorry. And then I finished it off. The red rose is made with duplicate stitch. And for this, again, I used Holst garn in the color Brandy. So I had ordered this for a whip that I'm going to show you later, and I won't take very much of that color, so I went ahead and used that. And like I said, with Holst garn, I've kind of started curating somewhat of a collection or like colors that I really like, so then I can put them in to color work. I don't know. So like I have, well, these are my books behind me. Then I have my yarn. This is where most of my yarn is, right here. And above this is where I have some more Holst garn colors. So I have everything where I can see it. And then of course I have my scrap basket. That's kind of what's going on there. I hope that, I don't even know if that made sense. That was rambly about nothing. Before I forget, if anybody is wondering, the cardigan that I'm wearing is the exact same cardigan I was wearing last time. We had a last minute run to the supermarket today. Today is Wednesday before the United States Thanksgiving. And of all the things that I forgot for when we make dinner tomorrow is pumpkin pie. So I was like, guys, we gotta go. And it's cold outside. So this is my reluctant homeschooler that I wore in last episode. And it's just literally what I throw on all the time. It is something I mentioned last month. I'll say it again. I have 2 of these already. I will make more. Okay, for whips. Let's start with my nephew's blanket. It's the one that I've made most progress on. So last time, it's kind of wrinkly because I had it all folded up. But where this progress keeper is where I was last time. So I have now gotten into the stitch pattern, and I've completed the first chart. Now on the first chart, I misread one of the lines, but it ended up being okay because anytime I went to do another row that was like the row that I messed up, I just made sure that I did the same thing every single time. And so it's no longer a mistake. It's just kind of the design of it now. So that worked out great. I think I had some misgivings or misconceptions about how this was going to be constructed to make it shape. And I finally had the realization that I thought this was going to make a square where I increase, and then decrease, and that is completely inaccurate because I never actually read the pattern all the way through. I don't ever read a pattern all the way through. I just get going on it. How this is constructed is you start at the bottom and all you do is you just increase the entire time. So I'm just gonna keep increasing. I have, I believe, 3 more charts and 2 more sections in between those. So this is just gonna be a long haul. And this is like, if I had to equate a project to something else that I enjoy, like reading, this is like an epic, which almost seems kind of grandiose for as simple as it is. But it just keeps going and going and going. And it is knit on US 2 millimeter or US 2 needles or 2.75 millimeter needles. So it is small. The project pages on Ravelry from people who have completed the project said it's a long one, but it's worth it. I did get excited whenever I finally got to the charts just to have something else to look forward to. The one thing that can be it kind of messes with my mind when I read the pattern. So I finished up the first chart, but in that section, it'll say, so it'll tell you like finish the chart, whatever, and then it'll say next row. Like, and I use washi tape, so I don't see what's coming next necessarily. And remember, I don't read through my pattern. So this is probably all self-induced ridiculousness. But when I move my washi tape, I'm like, okay, I just have to do this chart and then I can move on. And then it's like, oh, next row. Okay, what's that next row? Okay, next, it'll say next row. Repeat the last 2 rows 2 times. And I'm just like, this is like never ending. Hopefully I'll have this done so that he'll be able to use it as a baby. Like, hopefully it's not going to be a graduation gift. That would be embarrassing. I forgot to mention that these gloves are knit on US size 0 needles. So, and US size 0, and I ended up, because of color work and being mindful of my tension, I also put them on small circular needles, like 9-inch circular needles. And then I magic looped the top and magic looped the thumbs. Axel's thumb is actually supposed to be the diagonal color work. However, because of tension issues and also time, I went ahead and just made both thumbs black, which I think ended up looking just fine. I had to have kind of a little moment with myself and be like, am I not doing the color work on the thumbs because I'm being a brat and I just don't want to? Or do I have actual like legitimate reasons that convinced myself like it's okay to not do the color work on the thumbs this time. Needless to say, no color work on the thumbs. My newest cast on, which I just cast on yesterday, is going to be a gift for my friend. In last month's episode, I showed that I was halfway through making a blanket for her new baby daughter that is going to be born in December. It's their third child. And I had put that blanket in a bag and then set it aside. And later on when I kind of wanted to reorganize and kind of clean up, tidy up my knitting and sewing stuff. And I pulled that blanket back out, and in my gut, I just knew the difference in density between the Aran weight and then the lighter weight baby yarn was not going to work. It will not work with a small child that will get their fingers in there and it'll get caught on things. She has 2 other siblings. They have a dog. It's just not, like, my mommy brain was like, this is not practical. The Aran weight section was a really good density and I had no problem with it, but it wasn't working for me. So I sent her a text message and I was like, listen, here's what's going on. I'm working on this blanket. I'm halfway through. I'm not okay with how it's turning out. Instead of a blanket for baby, can I make socks for you using the book that you gave me? And she said, of course. I figured when you have kids in the beginning, everything you get is for the baby. Everyone's so excited, sweet little baby. Oh, get all the stuff for the baby. The baby has nothing, whatever. And sometimes it's just really nice as the mom to get something that is just for you, bearing in mind all the changes that are happening in your body and how things change after baby's born. I just wanted to do something that was really nice and special for my friend. So this was the book that she had bought me, Knit Like a Latvian socks. And I decided that I really wanted to make the Alpen Rose socks for her. So they look like this. I thought they were pretty cute. Now, how the patterns in this book works is you're given all the designs. They have charts for like the ankles and up. And then how to work the foot is in the back. They basically give like a sock recipe, how to work the sock. And all of the patterns are worked top down. And I could do that and that's fine, except that I would really prefer bottom up. I really want to get the toe and the heel out of the way and then it just gets easier. Like I want the harder, what I perceive as the more fiddly or trickier parts, I want to get those out of the way so then I can kind of just enjoy myself on the way to the top. So I have started, well, I guess I could show you the colors. You have to have 5 colors. You don't have to. The pattern calls for 5 colors and I decided to use 5 colors. So I've already shown you the brandy color. This is kind of like the pop. And then nougat, and this is all Holstgarn. Again, like I said, I'm kind of building or curating somewhat of a color work collection with this yarn. So brandy, nougat, then we have topaz, then we have marlin, and the last one is mariner. So she likes shades of like teal, and then the pop of red I thought worked really well. This reminded me, these shades of blue and then like the little pop of red, it just reminded me of her really nicely. Like I said, the red is my pop of color. The main color of the sock, like on the foot, is going to be the nougat color. And I have already cast on just the toe though. And I'm still increasing on the toe and I'm still kind of just trying to figure things out as I do this and trying to make sure that I write down what I'm doing. I'm okay if it's kind of a slow start because once I have it figured out the first time, then any other time I go to knit any socks from this book, I can have at it and I know what I'm doing. It'll go quicker. And I know that the second sock will definitely go faster than this one. So there's not really much progress to show you other than I started the toe. So it is knit also on US 0 needles, and I'm debating whether or not to rip all of this out and to try it on US 1s. I'm not that far along, so really, even though on US 0s this is quite a bit of knitting and it's taken quite a bit of a couple hours to get this much done, I might try it on US 0s or US 1s. I need to continue measuring my gauge and everything as I go. And I have the measurements for her feet because I've made her socks one other time. So I'm just gonna kind of go slow and think about things as I do them and before I do them. So we'll see. Those are the two things that I've been working on. Like I said, those socks I just started. This is minimal progress, but I did get a couple more rows of my half wrap. It just looks like a little ruffle right now because it's all scrunched up on this needle, but I have done a few rows on this every once in a while whenever the kids are taking a bath or a shower, once we know that their bodies are clean and then they get some water time, like, you know, if they're in the bath, they get some playtime. And while they do that, then I just go ahead and pull this out because I keep it upstairs up here in our bedroom. And I grab it and I do a couple rows while they play in the tub. And this is knit on US 3 needles. I don't remember how many I cast on. This to me is been kind of like my chicken soup knit, if that makes sense. By the time the kids need to take their showers or baths or whatever, I'm exhausted from the day. I just sometimes feel like I'm at the end of my rope and I just want something to kind of help calm me down. And that's what this has been. So this is linen quill in True Turquoise, I think. And then I also have the second color will be Vintage Celadon. So that'll be color 2 one day. I have to get the baby blanket and these socks done, and then I can go to town on that half wrap. Like I can just, if that's the only thing I want to knit, that's the only thing I have to knit. It's fine. I feel like I've made plenty of things for others that I kind of need something to fill my cup back up with. I do have 2 other languishing whips, and one I just showed, I think I showed this last time, but I really want to get back to my Blue Christmas too. And then also my half wrap are 2 projects I really want to get back into. I really want to just, like this one would not take me long if I can just sit down and just go and just knit. And the good news is it's my own design, my own pattern. I kind of already know what I'm doing, so I can just wing it. Where the past few projects that I've been working on, I have had to rely on the pattern that I'm using because either of the detail in it or because I'm learning how to do something new, like make a sock. This is kind of good, like something that I can just put on like cruise control and just go, which would be really nice. So I look forward to that. And then one that's been in hibernation a really long time, but not because I had any feelings about it, it's just life happened, is I still have my Bas Relief wrap, and this is Cashmere Merino Bloom from Pearl Soho in Bright Flamingo, I believe. And I'm halfway through, I'm 50% of the way through this. I can't wait to finish this and then block it, and it feels so good. It's a mixture of drape and weight, and it's soft, and I love the pattern with the cables and just the texture of everything. So these languishing whips are ones that I have been lusting after because I want to get back to them so much, but knowing that they're for me and they're so far from what I have gathered are ones that I'm going to end up having for a long haul, then I'm okay with kind of letting them sit for just a little bit. Let me finish up some things for others, and I don't know. One thing that I do worry about anything sitting for too long are changes in my tension. That's something that I am a little worried about, so that kind of makes me want to get everything else done in a timely manner, not rush through it, but be conscious of the fact that as time goes on, my tension could change and all that kind of stuff. So I've kind of suspended any thoughts of future cast-ons because I have more than enough to keep me occupied, and all of these projects are going to keep me busy for a length of time. I haven't really thought anymore about all of the things, all the plans that I have for the yarn behind me, other than knowing that it will be there when I'm ready for it. I do have one, I guess, to be honest, I do have one cast on that I want to do for my birthday. My birthday is December 20th. So instead of doing a Christmas cast on, I'm just gonna do a birthday cast on, so then I can do something kind of holiday-esque, like, and still get to enjoy it over the holidays, because once Christmas Day is over, my mind is just like, okay, it's done. Like, I don't hold on to that cozy holiday feeling. So I thought if I cast something on for my birthday, then I still have 5 days to just soak in the holiday spirit and really enjoy all of it. So what I've done for myself is I ordered a sock set from Deborah. Oh, I'll fix that later. So I ordered a sock set from Deborah from Candy Shop Yarns, and also Meanwhile at the Castle podcast, one of my ultimate favorites. And I got her Gingerbread Dream sock set. I am so excited. When she posted on Instagram, I was just kind of scrolling real quick, and it was one that I stopped and gasped. And for me, that's a sign that I really like that. And I am not a sock person. But I was like, oh my gosh. And everything that her and her sister Emily on their podcast, everything they share, their colors are always pretty. And the patterns that they choose, there are a few podcasters that when I watch and they talk about socks, get me excited, like, well, I want to knit socks, where normally I don't. And theirs is one of those where their socks are just cute. And I think it's because they'd always just have such cute yarn colors. I don't know the individual color names. I just know that it is a set. So obviously you have your gingerbread color, and the sun might be blowing this color out. If I keep it back here, I think that's more true. The gingerbread color is something that she sells on its own. The pink, the teal, or would we call that, was probably more turquoise, and the creamy white color, I don't know that those have names. And I will tell you that the minis in the sock set have silver stellina in them. So when I opened the package for the first time and I looked at it, I was like, I don't know if she meant to do this or if I'm just like making it up in my head. But the stellina, with this being like a Christmas time set, it looks like, you know how when you go outside after the snow has fallen and the snow sparkles and glitters? That's exactly what that reminded me of. I was like, oh my gosh, she is a genius. She's a genius, because that looks like sparkling, glittering snow. And I don't know if it was her intention behind it, or she was just like, well, let's put it on stellina and make it really pretty and cute or whatever. You know, like when you read something and everybody thinks it has such deep meaning in whatever it is that you're reading, and the author's like, what? No, actually, like, Little Red Riding Hood's hood was red because I just really like red. I don't know that there's symbolism that's supposed to be in here, but I'll take it. So this is going to be my birthday cast on. At least that's what I tell myself. Now, in a little less than a month's time, am I going to be in a place with my other knitting that I'll let myself cast these on? I don't know. So then if I don't feel like it's time for me to cast them on this year, I may wait until my birthday next year, or maybe do it like in January. I don't know, but they're so cute. I want to make them so bad. So I keep this up here on display for myself. I need that mohair stacked up so it'll stand up. But This was my treat myself. Happy birthday to me. I will contact the winner of the giveaway for Christy's pattern all buttoned up. I will contact you down in the comments of the video either last month or the month before that you commented on and ask that you email me, so then I can send you the code for your free pattern download. So thanks again to Christy for allowing me to give that to one of you. That's really kind and thoughtful and generous. And I hope that you all stay warm. If you're somewhere chilly, like it's cold here, which is why I'm still all bundled up. I'm still cold. If you're in the US, I hope that the holiday season treats you well. I hope that you take care of yourself. And I will see you in December for next month's episode. I'm supposed to do another Knit Simply episode, which is my series where I kind of just go through my entire stash and see how I'm doing, what I'm using, what I still have, and all that kind of stuff. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and end that series because for me, I feel that after however many episodes that I have, the handful of episodes of it, I have a good idea of what I'm using and what I'm taking in and all of that kind of stuff. So I no longer feel like that series needs to carry on. It's served its purpose. I know what I need to know now. So I'm just going to go ahead and we'll just stick to monthly podcasts. Stay tuned. I hope there's more good knitting coming for us. I am interested. I want to know, like, what are you guys planning on knitting for the holidays? Do you do a lot of gift knitting? Do you do like an annual cast on? Like, I know some people always do, like they cast on a pair of socks on Christmas or Christmas Eve or something like that. Do you have a knitting tradition that you do every year for Christmas? I would really love to know. I'd love to hear from other knitters. I don't talk to any other knitters in my real life. Like, this is it. Whatever comments you guys leave on my videos here or any comments left on Instagram, that's all the communication that I really have with other knitters. I guess this is my way of telling you that I'm desperate. I'm desperate for my friends to tell me, what are they making? What are they excited to make? Is there anything that you're dying to like just be done with? I don't know. I want to know all of the things. I think that's everything, and I'll see you next month. Bye.